in himself, God, the Blessed Trinity, is unknowable. And so all that we know of him comes from his self-revelation. We have the language of what he has created already, and it points well to the order in his own mind. But with his interior life secret unto us and hidden from us, he had to make the first move. It took a while for it to be understood. And the first 4 centuries of Christian history have to thrash out all the problems of Christology, the Incarnation, the Blessed Trinity, the relationship between the persons. It's a very complex issue and we take it for granted. The debate initially was more developed in the East than in the West. It was St. Hilary of Poitiers who realized how far developed it was in the East when he was sent there. And it was complex because of the difficulty that we might have in translating expressions from Greek into Latin. In Greek, hypostasis would be a person. If one puts that in Latin, opening it up, one has 2 roots, hippo, under, and stasis, root of to stand. So what do we get? Substance. Doesn't work. And so they had to find the equivalent expression in Latin. Ousia and the like had to be defined. And it could have gone either way. In the East, the pressure from on high, from the emperor, was strong. And he could have been either fully Arian or semi-Arian. And for a while there was a danger that the semi-Arians could have taken the day with one small sign, the smallest in the alphabet, iota. It's only a tiny riddle. It's our I. And if one puts that in the word homoousios, same substance, or ousia, then one gets homoio ousios, similar substance. And although it's true, it's not enough. Athanasius against the world, he saw the danger. In the same way, in our day, the faithful can have that sensus fidelium which can cry out within them, even though they might not be popular. And also on the level of the Church itself, the faithful have the Spirit of God massively, and he can speak to them and warn them from within as a people of God. And so, consubstantial has been brought back in its fullness in the present translation of the Creed, and it is important to be accurate. In France, strangely enough, they had this way around it, way back already after the Council, very quickly. De même nature que le Père. Now, if one translates that, it becomes of the same nature as the Father. Well, if one breaks that down, actually, it's not theologically true, because nature was specific to the humanity. You see the problem? So they have to have dynamic equivalencies. And this, of course, is being thrashed out in these days with regard to what Episcopal conferences can do or not do independently. But the Spirit of God leads his people serenely. With regard to the feast itself, it can be best illustrated by what happened at the very beginning of the self-revelation, when Moses was called apart in a quiet place. And what did he see? A bush that was burning, and not being consumed. And he heard a voice. And he wanted, of course, Moses to know who was there. And it was the great I am. Now, as in Deuteronomy today, we have to do with fire and therefore energy, so too there was a presence. Did ever a people hear the voice of the living God, speaking from the heart of the fire? So we have to do with a consuming fire. This day actually is the feast of St. Philip Neri, and he had a strange explosion of love, which seems to have burst his ribs. People who heard it could hear a huge palpitation at times. He was ecstatic. This burning of the heart, it's the fire that we have in the Blessed Sacrament. In fact, a recent Patriarch of Jerusalem has commented that when he goes into the Holy Tomb on Holy Saturday and has the candles lit by the finger of God, he is encountering that same power that he feels in the Divine Liturgy. And we calmly can do the same. Our God is burning. And he, to make his voice heard, needs less of ours. And Moses is told to remove his shoes, for the ground upon which he is standing is holy ground. We can remove the shoes of our noise, of our fidgetiness, of our over-exterior comportment, and come into mode. And the more we do that, the more we can hear. The more we do that in depth, the more we can be ministered to in depth. If we work on the superficies, the face outside, the superficial, the more that will be titillated, but the less the Spirit of God will have access to the depths. Abyss calls on abyss. Everyone moved by the Spirit is the Son of God. St. Paul invites us to be moved by that Spirit and to have a relationship which calls out, Daddy. Our worship must be an expression of a relationship. If we love, we will express well that, as in marriage, as in any relationship. And God is not fooled by beauty only. The greatest beauty is obedience of will. Therefore, the first duty of the creature as he approaches the burning bush is to take off self-will and not to want to invent greater things than God. For God has given us through his Spirit a divinely led pedagogy of worship, 2 millennia old, and we listen to the voice of the centuries, careful not to presume that we're the first to get it right. Oh, they didn't have a clue for 2,000 years, and now we've got it. And we have the commissioning. Tradition has it that they were told to go to Galilee, to the mountain that the Lord had appointed, and that it was Mount Tabor. The plaque is there indicating that. And what was the feeling that they had when they saw him? How did it happen, we wonder? He must have just appeared when they got there. And he commissions them, and he promises them that he will be with them. And he is with us. In the Catholic Church specifically, he is with us in his teaching power and his sacramental power. And when we pray together as a group, he's there by his promise. Where two or three are gathered, he's in the midst. Let us ask on this Feast of the Blessed Trinity for an awareness of what we're doing every time we open the door of a church and come close to the burning bush, where myriads of angels hover in adoration, waiting for us to join their number and not increase the din